Hello boys and girls, this is Battlefield of course, and welcome back to another Battlefield Hardline video. This time we're gonna take a look at all of the carbines and assault rifles for the operator class, and I'm gonna tell you exactly which ones are the best, which ones are okay, and which ones maybe you should stay away from. And just to make it very clear, I have gotten at least 90 kills with each of the rifles just to unlock all of the accessories and to try them out. The first carbine we're gonna take a look at is the RU 933. It's obviously the starting gun for both the criminals and the police. It got an impressive rate of fire of 800, slightly higher than most other carbines, a magazine size 30. Pretty standard, nothing really special with that at all. And you got a really quick reload, one of the quickest out of the carbines and assault rifles, so you can easily mow down a couple of enemies, then reload to continue mowing enemies down, so that's really nice. It got an easy to control recoil, and the real only drawback with this gun is that it's a little bit weaker than most other carbines, especially at range, due to the fact that it has the lowest damaged output. Each bullet makes the least amount of damage compared to other assault rifles and carbines. You need to make sure your shots hit, but other than that, it's definitely a good rifle. The second gun we're gonna take a look at is the SG553. It has a really standard rate of fire of 700 and a really standard magazine size of 30, so nothing special about it there. The reload speed, however, both empty and with one or more bullets still in the gun is quite impressive. I would say it's pretty much on par with the RU 933, so really quick to reload. So at close quarters, when you don't really have a safe place to reload, this gun is pretty great because you can just hit that reload button, trying to jump around as much as possible, hoping the enemy misses you, and you're gonna be reloaded pretty quickly so you can keep up the fighting, so to say. But even though it has a higher damage output than the RU 933, I'm still not a big fan of it, because especially at a little bit more than like medium range and longer range, it is quite hard to make sure your shots hit the target, at least as consecutive as you might like it to be. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the G36C. It has a slightly higher than standard rate of fire, 750 rounds a minute, standard magazine size of 30 obviously, a pretty standard damage output for the majority of the carbines, so nothing special there either. It also has a pretty standard reload time. It's not slow and it's not quick, it's just pretty standard simply. It has the standard damage model for the majority of the carbines as well, so at short range to medium range you can spray down enemies that have similar carbines to yours slightly quicker thanks to that slightly higher rate of fire, but really it's nothing special with this gun whatsoever. The recoil is pretty easy to manage like the majority of the carbines as well. The fourth gun we're gonna take a look at is the Car556. This is something brand new. I've never seen this gun in any Battlefield game previously. It has a standard rate of fire of 700, also has the standard damage module, so nothing special there whatsoever, but it has something special about it. It has 40 rounds in the magazine instead of just 30. Those 10 extra rounds actually can make a pretty big difference. The gun overall feels really good actually. The recoil is really easy to manage. You can be really accurate with it at range as well, so it kind of feels like an assault rifle more than a carbine, and with those 10 extra bullets, this really makes for a sweet gun. It's not exactly great in close combat or anything like that, but having 40 bullets instead of just 30 always feels really good. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the ACWR. It has an impressive rate of fire of 800, so definitely a lot quicker than most of their carbines. It has the standard damage module, so it's not very special when it comes to the damage output. It also has the standard 30 round magazine, so nothing special there either. Reload speed though, however, is slightly quicker than the standard, so you can really wield this gun quite nicely at short to medium range, where you kind of need that high rate of fire, and you also need to be able to reload quickly as well. And only real drawback with this gun is that it's slightly harder to control at longer ranges, and it obviously doesn't make as much damage as some other guns at long range, but overall a very good gun. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the fan favorite M16A3, and for good reason. It has a standard damage output and standard magazine size, so nothing special there, but it has an impressive rate of fire of 800, meaning of course that at short and medium range you can deal out a lot of damage quickly to the enemy. It also has one of the absolutely quickest reload times. It is really quick to reload if you still have bullets left in the magazine, and still pretty damn quick even if you're fully empty. It actually has the second highest recoil and spread out of all of the carbines and assault rifles. Only the AKM has higher spread and higher recoil than this gun, but let's be honest, the recoil isn't that high anyways, and if you tap fire it at long range, this gun is really good at long range as well. The next gun we're going to take a look at is the L85A2, and this gun got me a little bit puzzled. It has a slightly higher damage output than the standard, so you do a little bit more damage per bullet than the majority of the carbines and assault rifles, but really you don't notice it that much because you have a slightly lower rate of fire. You got 670 rounds a minute compared to the, what I would say, standard 700-ish around there. Also a slightly longer reload time than most of the assault rifles and carbines, so it's gonna take you a little bit longer to reload. The thing that really makes this gun kind of good, otherwise it would be really shitty, is the extremely easy to control recoil. All you gotta do is just hold down the button and shoot. You really don't have to try with it, to be honest. The next gun we're going to take a look at is the AKS-74Ju, slightly higher damage module than the majority of the carbines, slightly higher rate of fire, 735, a standard magazine size of 30, ridiculously easy to control recoil. This thing is like a laser. The only gun that compares to it, I would say, is probably the L85A2 or whatever it's called that we just looked at. These two guns are just incredibly easy to control the recoil. The real big drawback with this gun is the long reload time. I would say this is probably the longest reload time or the second longest reload time out of all of the carbines and assault rifles, making it a pain in the ass to play with when the enemy is close to you. But at medium to long range, this is actually a pretty sweet gun. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the AKM. Ooh, sexy beast. A really high damage output, almost twice as much damage per bullet compared to the standard carbines and assault rifles. Slightly lower rate of fire, only 600 instead of the standard 700. Standard 30 round magazine. Pretty slow reload. I would say this is the slowest or second slowest out of all of the rifles, and it has an incredible kick to it. If you go full auto with it, the first couple of bullets they're gonna kick like crazy, then you can kind of reel back the recoil slightly, but really this is a weapon that isn't very good except for the damage output. Like when enemies are standing in the middle of the open, so you can easily hit them, you can definitely outshoot most people, but if they're hiding a little bit, it's gonna be quite difficult to hit them due to that very high first bullet recoil, sadly. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the M416. Standard damage output, standard magazine size, but with an impressive rate of fire of 850. The highest rate of fire out of all of the carbines and assault rifles, making this an extremely powerful carbine slash assault rifle at close and medium range. Also has a very quick reload, one of the quickest, I would say maybe top 3 or top 4 at least. So you can definitely reload quickly on the fly and just simply hail bullets on the enemy. It is also very easy to control the recoil. I would say almost a little bit too easy since it has such a high rate of fire, just making this gun quite OP in my opinion. Okay, let's be really honest. There's not really a bad carbine or assault rifle. Most of these rifles outshoot the other rifles in the game quite easily, and that's kind of a shame. But there's some of them that I don't like as much as others, one of them being the SG553. I don't really know why, but it just doesn't sit well with me. It's not really a bad gun, it's just not as good as some of these other guns. The L85A2 with that long reload time and slightly lower rate of fire just doesn't sit well with me either. It's maybe good at long range, but nothing else really. The AKM, I would say, is the only meh gun. Long reload time and high recoil makes this one of my least favorite favorite assault rifles and carbines in the game. Okay, which 3 guns are my favorite guns in the operator class? When it comes to the carbines and the assault rifles on the operator class, the M416 definitely wins the #1 spot. It is ridiculously good. It's just overall overpowered. It needs to get a nerf soon, and I would be surprised if it doesn't get nerfed soon, because it's just so damn good. The car is surprisingly fun to play around with. Having 40 rounds instead of 30 in the magazine is a fresh breath of air, and it's very accurate and easy to control as well. When it comes to the M16A3, it has the second highest recoil and spread of all of the carbines and assault rifles, but it's still overall an extremely good gun. So that's gonna be my gun review for the operator class. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. If it did, please leave a like, maybe a nice comment. It helps my channel out a lot, and even better is if you share it on Twitter, Facebook, or any other social media. And as usual, thank you guys so very much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.